Hey everybody, welcome back to another reading wrap-up. We are here to talk about the technically 5 books, but I have 6 to talk to you about that I read in the month of June. I am filming this video on June 29th. Now there are 2 more days left of this month. Will I complete another book? It's possible. However, my stats that I have are not going to be correct. So if you want my actual complete full stats, definitely be sure to watch my June reading journal video because I film those a few weeks after I've completed the month of reading and I get accurate stats in there. So this is just my stats up to this point. So speaking of stats, let's go over them. This month I read 5 books. I read 1,997 pages. My goal is always 2,000 pages. I definitely think I'll read at least 3 pages in the next 2 days to complete that goal. So that is right on track. As far as my moods go, it looks like I'm back on the dark, mysterious, somehow lighthearted, funny, and emotional books, which I don't think I've ever seen the funny section of that pie before, so that's quite interesting, but I guess maybe some of these are funny. And then here is a look at the genres. Historical is number 1 with 2 books, which makes sense because I have Emily Wilde here with A Vengeance. We'll get to that. Then dystopian, young adult, thriller, romance, mystery, literary, fantasy, and contemporary. My average star rating for the month is incredible. It's a 4.2. I have never had an average star rating of a month above a 4-star, but I had so many good reads this month. I'm so excited to talk to you about them. And then here is a full breakdown of pages read this month. There has been a couple of days this month where I have not read a single page, and I'm really kicking myself for that because I didn't miss a single day in May, and I was really hoping to continue that, but unfortunately it just didn't pan out in June. There was a few nights I was just way too dang tired and just didn't want to pick up a book, but I'm hopeful for August because I know July is going to be a little bit difficult, but I'm hopeful for August. Now, I did read 5 books in the month of June, like I stated, but I'm going to be showing you 6 here because I didn't get to show you Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall in the last wrap-up because I did the exact same thing I'm doing right now, which is filming it a few days before the end of the month, and I think I actually finished this book the last day of May, so it needed to be included, but I'm here to talk to you about it now. I actually have this book included, this one and Emily Wilde's included in my last reading vlog, which is me trying to accomplish my goal of reading the 25 books in 2025 that I picked for myself at the beginning of the year, and Rules for Vanishing was on it. Now, I actually went through my books that I've ordered. How am I gonna word this? I went through the books that I've purchased, and the latest book that I purchased was actually this one that I hadn't read yet. So I was kind of excited to see that because it was a part of my 25 for 2025. So this is Kate Alice Marshall's YA thriller / kind of horror. I have read 3 of Kate Alice Marshall's adult thrillers, and I have really felt that they were super mid. They were okay. The writing's fine, but I just didn't really care. But I had heard the Rules for Vanishing, being her YA thriller / horror, was really, really good. So I was really excited to read this one, and I did ultimately give it a 4-star. However, I don't think Kate Alice Marshall is the author for me, so I will not be picking up any of her future releases or any of her past releases. However, I did like this one. So in this book, we're following Sarah for the most part, and her sister Becca disappeared a year ago. Now, there's this urban legend in their town that they live in where if you go to a certain spot in the woods, and there's a bunch of rules if you have someone with you, when you say this paragraph a few times, this road will appear, and there's this ghost girl named Lucy Gallows that you will walk down the road with. And Sarah is convinced that that is where Becca has disappeared to because there's been some clues and some things that kind of lead her to suspect that way. She didn't just make that up. So on the anniversary of her disappearance, she gathers a bunch of friends, and within the first chapter, the road appears, and it's not as simple as the urban legend has made it seem. There's lots of obstacles they need to go through, lots of gates they need to go through, and it's written in a really cool kind of mixed media way. There are regular chapters where we're getting Sarah's first person point of view, but then we're also getting some evidence, some text, some interviews, and they're written really, really well. I actually quite enjoy the way it's written, and I feel like this is almost written, the person that's interviewing Sarah, I think is kind of a main character in the other 2 YA books as well. I will say I really enjoy urban legend horror. I find that to be one of my favorite kind of horror tropes, and I think that's why I liked this a bit more than I liked Kate Alice Marshall's thrillers. but I felt like the ending just really wasn't what I had hoped for. Like, the book was so good the first 70% of the way. It was very eerie, very atmospheric, very creepy, and I really enjoyed the setup, but I felt like the ending, like the execution, just didn't end how I had hoped it would. Like, I had a vision for how it would end and it just didn't match that, which is fine, but I just didn't like the ending. So this is a 4-star, but it was just okay, if that makes sense, as far as the ending goes. Okay, now we're moving on to the books that I read in June. At first, I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is the first in the Emily Wilde trilogy. I was really nervous going into this book because just about everybody, like I'd say like 75% of the people that I follow on Goodreads have either DNF'd this or given it 1 or 2 stars. So I went into this with very small hopes, and I walked out of it with a 4.5 star. I mean, honestly, now that I think about it, I probably could have given this a 5-star. I loved this book. I really enjoyed this. So this is written as you are following diary entries from Emily as she goes and explores certain areas to, you know, have like a full encyclopedia of the fairies. And she is like, she was one of those like super geniuses. So as a kid, she was pushed into college very young. So now she's like a super young professor, super young person that works for her college. She has a counterpart named Wendell Bamblebee, and they kind of have like a very slow burn romance going, which I'm very much so enjoying. But she goes to this kind of snowy small town to try and find this, like, I guess I want to say genre, but I know that's not correct, to find this group of fairies that's never been explored, never been written about before, and she finds so much more than she's bargained for. And I feel like the story just kind of moves so quickly. There are weirdly a little bit some horror elements to it, like some of the fae are very scary, but I really liked this. I felt like the story was really fun to follow, and I feel like, and this might just be the way I took it, but she writes so pretentiously in her diary, but I just feel like it's because she might be a little bit insecure about how smart she is, and I know she feels like at the end it almost felt like she was coming into herself, and I really liked that, and I really enjoyed this. I can't wait to continue this series. It's a trilogy. I have the second one right here, Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. I can't wait to continue because I had such a great time with this one. 4.5 stars. And finally, I read Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is the newest Hunger Games book to have come out, and I was reading them 1 a month to catch up to this one, and I mean 5 freaking stars. This was so good. This follows Haymitch's story, and in Catching Fire you get kind of like a glimpse of Haymitch's story and how he won his games, but of course you don't get any backstory, and this was so good. It gave me like the Catching Fire feels because it is another quarter quell. It's the 50th Hunger Games. Double the amount of tributes are getting taken in. So instead of the normal 24 tributes, it is 48, 4 from each district. You're getting Haymitch's backstory with his family, his friends from home, and then you get to watch his entire games play out, and they are so brutal and sad and just so incredibly intense, and the ending was so sad and gut-wrenching. I loved it. 5 stars. If you love the Hunger Games and you haven't read this yet, you absolutely need to. I cannot wait for the movie. I think the casting is so good. I love Kieran Culkin, so I'm so excited to see him. But yeah, I absolutely love this book. 5 stars. It was incredible, and I'm so grateful to have finally reread/read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and Sunrise on the Reaping for the Hunger Games. It was such a good experience. Grateful for it. Next, I read the new Riley Sager that came out this month. This is With a Vengeance, and I was so excited. I love Riley Sager. He's one of my favorite authors of all time, and I was really excited for this one because the premise felt so different than previous books from him. But unfortunately, I did give this 2 stars. It is definitely one of my least favorite Riley Sager, and I think it's because the like mystery twist of it, I just didn't enjoy. It didn't feel like a classic Riley Sager. However, there are a bunch of twists in this, but I don't know, I didn't enjoy it. I really didn't like a single one of these characters. You're following Anna, who has gathered a group of like 7 or 8 people on this train from Philadelphia to Chicago to kind of confront them for destroying her family, and immediately someone is found dead / murdered, and it becomes kind of a murder mystery. They start dropping like flies, who's killing them, you know, things like that. And with that premise and the thrilling twisty aspects of that, and it being a Riley Sager, I was really looking forward to this. But like I said, I did not like a single one of these characters. I couldn't even get behind Anna. I just really didn't like her as a main character. I felt like some plots and some parts of this went really slow, and then some parts that should have went a little bit slower were sped up too much. There was a lot of plot holes, a lot of the twists, which Riley Sager is known for his twists. I love his twists. I felt like a lot of the twists almost didn't make a lot of sense. That's why I said the plot holes, because some of the twists just didn't add up to like what, I don't know, it just didn't make any sense. And I'm really disappointed in it. I feel like a lot of his more recent releases I've been pretty disappointed in, so I'm kind of hoping he gets back to his like thriller slash light horror roots, because I really like those. This was just such a disappointment. Next, I read Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. This is the first book of her like STEMinist romances that I have read. The only other book I've read from her is Bride, and this was 5 stars. Like, I had such a good time with this. I love romance. You know, I say horror and thriller are my favorite genre, and they are, but every time I read a silly little romance, I get sucked right in, and I was obsessed with this. So in this, we're following Bee and Levi. Bee is coming to Houston from, I don't know, wherever, to be a part of a NASA project where they have to build some helmet for something. I don't know, I could have cared less about all of that scientific talk. And she comes to realize that she's co-collaborating with a guy that she thought hated her entire time in graduate school. And so they come together. It's a very grumpy sunshine, and it's just so good. Like, it's just so good. The third act conflict was not really a conflict. I love when third act conflicts aren't really a conflict. I like when they're just there. They're just a part of the story, and the story just keeps on moving, and that's exactly what happened. I love this couple together. I had such a great time with this. I felt like it read so quickly. I love Ali Hazelwood's writing. I have a deep end, but I also immediately added the rest of the STEMinist novels, Problematic Summer Vacation, Check and Mate, Not in Love, all to my wish list, because I was like, I need them because they're so good. I need to read her backlist. 5 stars. I adored this. Oh, and I had such a good reading month. I'm so excited. The last book that I read in June was Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. I have been wanting to read this for so long. I gave it 4.5 stars. It's a short little, is it classified as a thriller? Honestly, maybe. There are thrilling elements, but it very much so to me gives literary fiction with thrilling elements. Maybe. I don't know what to classify this as. In this, you are following from the perspective of just about everybody on this little island off the coast of Antarctica. Climate change is happening. It's in full effect. This island was used as kind of like a resource base to house like seeds for plants and animals and sea life and things like that. And the last people on this island are Dominic and his 3 children. And one day a woman washes on shore, and they don't know why she's there. She's hiding secrets. She doesn't know why they're still there. Everyone on the base has left, so they're hiding secrets, and the secrets soon become unveiled, and it becomes very much so this like sad literary story about this group of people, and I really liked it. I felt like the plot was really beautiful. It was very atmospheric. I feel like I could picture just about every single thing that was written. The island was so gorgeous. All the sea life was really nice to read about, and of course the story of the characters was great as well. It was a great little character study, and I really quite enjoyed finding out their little secrets along the way as well. And then the ending just absolutely broke me. It was horrible, so sad. 4.5 stars. I loved this. I had a great time with it, and I think this and all the other books are probably why my rating was so high this month. So those are the 5 plus 1 book that I read in May/June. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you read any of these, let me know your ratings, your thoughts. If you've been wanting to read any of these, this is your sign. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.